Everyone. While studying the class 12th ncert themes in Indian history, part 2, today we are continuing the book and the chapter 1, that is through the eyes of the traveler, perception of the society. As we discussed earlier, the Kitab ul Hind, Al-Baruni's Kitab ul Hind, written in Arabic, is simple and lucid. It is a voluminous text divided into 80 chapters on subjects like religion, philosophy, festivals, astronomy, acclaim, manners, and customs, social life, weights, measures, iconography, and meteorology. Generally, Al-Baruni adapted distinct structure in each chapter, beginning with a question, following this off with a description based on Sanskrit traditions, and concluding with a comparison with other cultures. Some of the present day scholars have argued that this almost geometric structure, remarkable for its precision and predictability, owed much to his mathematical orientation. Al-Baruni, who wrote in Arabic, probably intended his work for the people living along the frontiers of the subcontinent. He was familiar with translation and adaptation of Sanskrit, Pali, Prakrit text into Arabic. These ranged from fables to work on the astronomy and medicine. However, he was also critical about the ways in which the texts were written and clearly wanted to improve them. While reading NCRT, we should always focus on the boxes, because questions in UPSC comes directly from these boxes. If you are thorough enough, you can answer it. Metrology is a science of measurement, and the term Hindu was derived from the old Persian word used in 6th and 5th century BCE to refer to the region east of the river Sindhu or Indus. The Arab continued the Persian uses and called it Al-Hind and its people Hindi. Later, the Turks referred the people of east of Indus as Hindu and their land as Hindustan, and the language is Hindavi. None of these expressions indicated in the religious identity of the people, and it was much later the term developed as religious connotations. Traveling overland through Central Asia, Ibn Battuta reached Sindh in 1333. He had heard the Muhammad bin Tughlaq of Sultan of Delhi, and lured by his reputation as a generous patron of arts and letters, set off for Delhi, passing through Multan and Uch. The Sultan was impressed by his scholarship and appointed him as Qazi or Judge of Delhi. He remained in that position for several years until he fell out of the favor and was thrown into prison. Once the misunderstanding between him and the Sultan was clear, he was restored to imperial service and was ordered in 1342 to proceed to China as the Sultan's envoy to the Mongol ruler. With new assignment, the Ibn Battuta proceeded towards the Malabar coast to the central India. From Malabar, he went to Maldives and he stayed for 18 months as Qazi, but eventually decided to proceed towards Sri Lanka. He then went back once more. Education and entertainment. Here the name Ibn Jujai, who was deputed to write what Ibn Battuta dictated, said in his introduction, a gracious direction was transmitted by the rulers, and he, Ibn Battuta, should dictate an account of cities which he had seen in his travel, and of the interesting event which had clung to his memory, and he should speak of those whom he met, the rulers of the countries, of their distinguished men of learning and their pious saints. Accordingly, he detected He dictated upon the subjects a narrative which give entertainment to the mind and delight to the ears and eyes, with variety of curious particulars by exposition of which he gave edification and and of marvelous things by referring to which he aroused interest. Here we should remember the name Jujai, Ibn Jujai. In the footsteps of Ibn Battuta, in the centuries between 1400 to 1800, visitors to India wrote a number of travelogues in Persian. At the same time, Indian visitors to Central Asia, Iran, Ottoman Empire, and sometimes wrote their experiences. These writers followed the footsteps of Al-Baruni, Ibn Battuta, and sometimes read these earlier authors. Among the best known of these writers are Abdul Razak Samarkandi, who visited India in 1440s, Mahmud Wali Balkhi, we should remember these names, who traveled very widely in 1620s, and Sheikh Ali Hazin, who come to North India in 1740s. Some of the authors were fascinated by India. One of them, Balkhi, even became a sort of sannyasi for a time. Others, such as Hajins, were disappointed and even disgusted with India, where they expected to receive red carpet treatment. Most of them saw India as land of wanderers. Francois Bornier, a doctor with a difference. A Portuguese arrived in India in about 1500. A number of them wrote detailed account regarding the Indian social customs and religious practices. A few of them, such as Jesuit Roberto Nobili, even translated Indian text to European language. You should remember this name. Used Roberto Nobili, translated Indian text to European languages. Among the best known Portuguese writers is Durate Barbosa, who wrote detailed account of trade and society in South India. Later, after 1600, we find growing number of Dutch, English, French travelers coming to India. One of the most famous French travelers is Jean-Baptiste Ravenier, who traveled in India at least 6 times. He particularly fascinated with trading uh, conditions in India and compared India to Iran and Ottoman Empire. Some of the travelers, like Italian Dr. Manucci, never returned to Europe and settled down